What's good, YouTube? It's your boy Fate. Now, I know it's been a minute since I've posted any personal opinion content. I've really just been enjoying playing games with my friends and whatnot, as you can see by my last two videos, and less on reviewing and discussing. Now, as of late, I've been playing a lot of the Division's 1.4 update, and it made me want to make a video about my favorite things. So this intro is short, and I'm going to hop into my 7 things I like most about Update 1.4. First up, the loot. Loot is the main focus in Div. Yet, before 1.3, it was pretty focused, especially with, you getting high end. But once gear sets started being introduced, those became the things to focus on. And 1.3 added in more content, but it also made it pretty damn hard to get that good gear, especially if you were not I guess I would say either between a mid-core or hardcore player. If you're casual, it was annoying. But even then, for some of the people who were probably more along the mid-core, hardcore lineage, you could still run the hardest content and still get nothing of value or never get the item or items that you were looking for in running the content. Now with 1.4, Massive decided to let the loot flow more freely, and that's an amazing thing. So now pretty much running content or just killing mobs can end up snagging yourself some high-end or even gear set pieces in most cases, especially in the higher world tiers, which I'll talk about in a little bit. Next would be time to kill. And 1.3, challenging and heroic NPCs were brutal, to say it nicely. To be honest, they were like the spawns of Satan that came from the AI depths of hell, just to really make your experience that much more torturous than it already was. I mean, these guys would eat your bullets, still manage to walk up to you or stand in the position they're at and put shells of retributional fires into your soul and render it from your body. And if it was shotgunners, please, you were pretty much looking at a respawn screen and under 2 seconds. I mean, it was like a double tap, dead. Thankfully, 1.4 balanced the NPC health pools, armor, and damage output to make it overall more enjoyable to run content. There still is a challenge, but it's not visiting the depths of hell. This is not Diablo. Next, we're going to talk about field proficiencies. Now, getting experience at endgame pre 1.4 was pretty much useless. I mean, seeing those orange numbers pop up when an enemy went down irritated me because all the content except for Dark Zone gave experience that went towards nothing at all. Yet, with field proficiencies, that all changed. I mean, you can run everything except for Dark Zone and get experience to go towards that proficiency. So that's underground if you have it, the daily story missions, killing, basic mobs, HPTs, any of the dailies, the weekly mission, etc., etc. Anything that has a PvP experience gain modifier on it, so any PvE content, it goes towards field proficiency. Also, field proficiency caches give you 2 items and also have the highest Phoenix credit payout, so grind away. I'm so very glad they brought back the field bosses. I mean, it sucked that if you killed them early game, they never came back. Yet, there were some exploits back in the day that people ran to get Phoenix credits and stuff, being that it was so hard to get them. Plus, it was also annoying to grind the Dark Zone field bosses because you were in a hostile area. So, yeah, it was cool. You'd grind them, get some good gear, you'd try to extract, and then you would end up being killed and looted either at the extraction point or trying to get one. Now, with them adding in the field bosses on a 4-hour respawn, farming is more enjoyable and far less stressful. And if you have a team of 4, it's really efficient and you don't have to worry about being shot in the back by other players. Now let's talk about caches, which I have to say is probably the most beneficial addition to the game. Well, not the most, but one of the most beneficial additions to the game would be the proper sentence. These packages can be earned from various activities, such as running dailies or weekly missions, and then also from field proficiency, or you could simply just purchase them. They come in 3 varieties. There's the basic credits, the Dark Zone credits, and then you have the special item vendor who sells specialized caches for Phoenix credits. They're all based on RNG, but just being able to buy more loot is still awesome. Now let's talk about world tiers. This system reminds me a lot of Diablo because, in Diablo you start off easy, and then as your gear gets better you move up to more enjoyably challenging content. And I mean, that's really cool to be able to control the entire aspect. I mean, before 1.3 it was just the only way you could run harder content for overall aspects would be to play on challenging or heroic. And like I said before, in 1.3 those NPCs were the spawn of Satan. Now, moving up through world tiers requires you to reach a specific gear score, and then once you shift over to that new world tier, you then have to work your way back up. But as tedious as that may sound, it's actually quite fun. I enjoyed actually doing that with my secondary character. And last but not least, we have to talk about the Dark Zone. Now, even though it was not directly addressed as a main change in the Dark Zone in this update, but you have to admit, with the fact of how everything is for the PvE aspect, it has indirectly changed the Dark Zone, and I just have to say it changed it for the better. I say this because, you don't really have to grind in the Dark Zone anymore to get good gear. That's all done PvE side. So now, because of that, it's now able to be focused on that lawlessness and strictly player versus player. Now, I mean, yeah, if you kill some bosses, you come around bosses, or you come across the Dark Zone chest and you have some keys, of course you're going to open it, but it's now more so the fact that the Dark Zone is the PvP aspect. And with that, I have been able to enjoy the Dark Zone a lot more because I don't have to worry about the frustrations of being griefed by rogues, or one of my friends wanting to go rogue because they don't have any items that they care about, but I may, or somebody else on our team may, and therefore trying to not die because you're pinged on the map was frustrating. Yet I will say, if you still plan on grinding in the Dark Zone, it is imperative that you have a Banshee set, so that way you protect your items from those rogues when they kill you. And I have to say, overall, 1.4 is pretty damn perfect. I mean, there's only one issue that I have, and that would be with the way that they did armor. Update 1.4 makes it mandatory that you roll armor. Now, they don't force it directly, but the way that it's laid out, it pretty much is telling you that you need to roll armor on all of your gear pieces if you don't already have high armor rolls on them, because if you're not at least between the 55-56 damage mitigation area, you're going to struggle to survive, especially in the World Tier 4. And due to this, sometimes reaching that cap can really screw up with fun builds because you end up losing your survivability. So I really hope that they look into the way armor is and possibly give us a bit more breathing room to work with in the future. But we'll see what happens when 1.5, which has been released by Massive to be in the works, being that survival is in PTS as of today, which I really wish I had a PC to check it out. But I'm gonna wrap it up here. So if you guys have your favorite things you like about 1.4, what you don't like about 1.4, let me know down in the comments, and I'll definitely catch you guys later. This is your boy Fate. Peace.